All right, welcome back, everybody. This is episode 18 of the Junto. I'm going to call the show the Junto. And yeah, so it's February 3rd, Tuesday, and we can get pretty much right into it today. I kind of want to just recap what it is that I'm trying to do here. And it's not really going to be a recap, or I'm not going to detail the types of things that we cover on the show and have been covering on the show. I just kind of want to, maybe it's a little more like a statement of purpose, thinking more about the purpose of what we're doing here. And I guess just real quick, I'm going to call the show the Junto because despite what the haters are saying, because, well, here's the dictionary definition, and that's not what I'm going with, but it is in this particular dictionary that it says a group of persons joined for a common purpose. So a group of persons joined for a common purpose. And yeah, and that is basically what we're doing here. And the statement of purpose that I'm going to lay out on the show today, as I kind of, I don't know, every episode of the show is an exploration of these concepts. I'm going to, elucidate what that common purpose is, what is bringing us here together, and what I'm trying to do, what I'm interested in, and what I'm trying to explore with the show. And the reason I heard this word for the first time, because it's not really it's not a word that is used in common parlance at all. It's archaic, and I don't know how commonly used it was even in the past. But I've read and talked about this on the show in the past, but Ben Franklin, almost 300 years ago, 299 years ago, I think. 1727. So hang on. 299. So he formed a club. He said, quote, in a document, I formed most of my ingenious acquaintances into a club for mutual improvement, which we called the Junto. And there's more to say about that later, but that's not really the point of this stream. I just kind of want to talk about that concept of bringing my most ingenious acquaintances together for a club where we are trying to strive for mutual improvement. And I think this is something that has a lot of power as a concept right now, because everywhere I look, I see people who are really struggling just to live, and certainly struggling to live a life that is enriched or deep, because our culture just impoverishes it impoverishes almost everything about the physiological and supernatural existence that we even have on the planet. It really is damaging to us. And so, I think a lot of people could use something where we're talking about the specific situation we're in, and we're trying to understand it. We're trying to understand how it came about. We're trying to understand how it is affecting us, because over the years it comes to really affect us. We develop issues within our personality. We may become combative or distant or depressed or whatever it is. I mean, there's infinite depth to the human personality, and there's lots of differences between us. And yet, it's just a tricky situation. And I think we're all very sick. And I think at the least we are all phone sick. We pretty much all have that in common. And even if you aren't really using phones or technology, you're suffering from the phone sickness of everyone else. It has secondary effects. There's secondhand phone that just no one is ever able to get away from in a society like this, where it has latched onto us so deeply and become such an integrated part of what it means to get by in the world. So I don't know. I'll just kind of talk a little bit about that, and a little bit about what I think can bring us out of it. I mean, the title of the stream as of now is something like sorry, I can't see it. It's Is sorry. Just sometimes it really looks like something is wrong with the stream, and I haven't been doing this for long, so yeah. But everything will get worse unless we start helping each other. And yeah, I think there's a tendency to believe that we are totally impotent, or to believe that the conditions of the world have nothing to do with us, and we must just sort of suffer the consequences of the world. And I really believe we actually have a moral obligation to be active and push for making our lives better and the lives of other people better, doing work in this world that actually is counter to the culture that we are mired within, and which is accelerating rapidly, and the clutches are tightening. We're just like, there's increasingly a total domination of the human spirit and in control of human behavior. There's an extinction of culture. There's an extinction of biological diversity of animals in the world. But also, when I say extinction of culture, it's like there's just tradition is wiped out in all countries. In first world countries and third world countries, there's all kinds of extreme atrophy, which is pointed towards extinction. And it's also pointed towards a general homogenization. And that's where the phone comes into play too, because people have phones all over the world. So the media that we are engaging with on the phone, it makes us more and more similar. So we're all sick, we're coping with the phone, we're getting certain things out of the phone that we don't get out of life, such as we get to see all these things that we may not be able to see in our world. Or plenty of people are addicted to pornography. They may get a satisfaction of their sexual drive that they've never had in person or don't have in person. And so it just latches within us. It just latches onto us deep within us. And yeah, and it's homogenizing. So as people are losing themselves and becoming more like the phone and becoming more like the mediated things that they see on the phone, the people they see on the phone, they become more like that. You lose traditionally where the culture was going at all. And there's just sort of this rapid break wherein profit is able to, or capital say, is really able to invade and change the rules of human development. And so you have advertising initiatives and people just trying to make lots of money, all kinds of people trying to make money. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge corporation. I don't mean just Meta. I mean all the influencers on Meta platforms, YouTubers, all of this stuff. There's lots of incentive to get people to do something, and that something is use the phone. And there's lots you can do on there. You could be using it in productive ways. You could be, I mean, it's a super powerful tool. However, the way that the money moves, the money just wants efficiency. It wants accumulation. It really wants to accelerate. It wants to optimize the extraction from us. It wants to pull whatever it can out of us. And at the end of the day, that's your time. And that's life. Like if you are giving up your time to this device in a way that you don't respect with the whole gravity of life itself in your mind, then I don't know. That seems like a. I think that's the situation most of us are in, and it's just hard to recognize it. I think it is unbelievable. Like, I think about this stuff all the time, and I suffer greatly from wasting time on the phone. Every day before I go to bed, I'm like, I'm not on my phone necessarily, but I reflect on the day, and I think, like, I wasted time. I don't want to waste any time. Like, there really is such a hard thing to break, and I don't. I'm struggling to figure out how to break it. And that's that's a dual use of this stream. Like, I'm not here because I have all the answers. I have I mean, I have some answers, I have some theories, but I don't I'm not here just to share what I have thought. And even the things that I think, I'm mostly standing on the shoulders of giants. Like there's just so much information that we have available to us to read. And so much of that is free through the internet. So I'm certainly not hating on the internet. We should use it while we have it. The internet's being destroyed. It's just like it's so, oh my god. Using just like going to normal websites. I went to a dictionary website today or yesterday, and it's like I had to solve a CAPTCHA. And then you get hit with the I forget what bill passed that made every website become unusable by doing this, but they introduced the cookies consent thing. So you go to a website and it, oh my god, I just can't believe what the internet is turning into. It and yeah, it's like reject all, accept all, or hit this tab to actually go in the settings and see the things that we may not want you to see. And it's like, bro, I'm trying to define a word over here. I'm just trying to look up a definition of a word without, and I don't want the AI one that the search engine was giving me. I want to just look at the dictionary website. So anyway, internet, who knows? It may not always be here. It certainly may not always have, it may not always provide access to all that archived information that is the bright side of it. Maybe eventually the internet is just reduced to a few monopolized apps that, or monopolized organizations that mediate internet access through their apps. So suddenly everything is, instead of going to websites, like typing in a address bar, you perhaps just have to be on the app and you have to be logged into the app to use it too. Maybe there's, people, as much as people seem to think that things are just totally horrendous and couldn't be worse, it's like, I don't know, for how worried people seem to be about how things are going, it's like, think about how much worse it can get, and think about how much worse it seems to be. I don't know, just try, I think people need to like start projecting into the future a little bit more, or making predictions about the future, about all these kinds of little things that we have, like what will the US government look like in 15 years, 20 years, whatever. Like start thinking, because there's way worse situations than the one that we're in right now. So anyway, ultimately, I'm just kind of rambling here. I just kind of have to let it all out, because I agree. I think we're in a horrible situation. And the thing that interests me about it is how sort of like this bribe of convenience, where it's like, it's becoming kind of very convenient to live. In a sense, like, I mean, most people at work, even very high paying jobs, it requires very little, like, I don't know, it may be very physically difficult. It may be, I mean, most jobs I feel like are not intellectually difficult. They just sort of are things that you have to obey the rules within, and they may be physically difficult. They may be unpleasant. Certainly most are pretty unpleasant at this point, because they're kind of meaningless. And like in a service-based economy where almost none of the businesses should even exist, yeah, it's going to be kind of insufferable. But sorry, let me think what my point was for a minute. Yeah, so I just find it so strange how tolerable people are actually finding this situation. Like, people verbalize a lot of outrage about it, or like freaking out about Trump or whatever, just freaking out about all this stuff. People freak out about everything, and yet they just like completely obey. They're just completely conformed to actions that benefit the power structure or the system. And that is unfathomable to me. And I think some people are at their breaking point. And I mean, that's not necessarily a good thing. I think the breaking point can be a very hopeless moment. I think a lot of people wind up getting wrapped up in drug abuse or depression, headed towards suicide or committing suicide, and it is that's one type of breaking point. And for other people where they are not totally, and I'm not saying those situations are totally hopeless, but at least they're hard to get out of. They're not hopeless to get out of, but they feel hopeless to get out of. So that's the distinction I'm making. But then some people are kind of approaching that breaking point, and they're just like realizing that like the culture they were brought up in doesn't know shit about anything, and maybe they're realizing that they kind of also don't know shit about anything. And there's a I don't know, I just kind of feel something within people in this particular moment. And I think there's just a moment right now where people are kind of waking up and kind of desperate for something else. And that's why I started the show. I think we have to share this information with each other. And so yeah, or someone commented on my use of intolerable, and that is kind of the, it's not a paradox, but it is a puzzle where it's like the tolerability of the circumstances is getting pushed as low as possible. Meanwhile, people are being given bribes of convenience, such as the phone, which satisfies the psychological and biological mechanism of the person in such a way that they will tolerate their circumstances more if they have the phone, because it's sort of like a transubstantial food. It's like normally you could get people to put up with intolerable situations if you were at least providing them food and shelter. And now there's something that's sort of like deeper than food, and it's this psychological tool, weapon of sorts, where it just is letting, suddenly the people's tolerance for horrible situations has gone like way up. And so that means you can bring the tolerability of the situation way down, and you can almost make everything hell on earth, and people are not gonna realize it, or at least they may realize it, but they're not gonna do anything about it. That's sort of like the outrage that you see on social media and in person, but it's backed up by just lives of meaningless nothing, of time wasting. So yeah, so that's like, for example, I mean, this is a generational problem. Like our parents and their parents have all really fucked up the situation for the current generations. And it and I'm not saying, certainly not saying hate your parents or anything. I think you should love your parents, or I mean, some parents are totally nuts, so I get if you have to, like, for your safety, be separate or something, because parents aren't immune from this. Parents could be addicted to meth or whatever and just be, everyone can be fucked up. But anyway, the point is more like they I mean, the point gets brought up all the time, but it's like they were going for way better bribes than we're going for. Like, they were getting houses. You could have 10 kids. You could just work one job in the household. You could, like, that's not a bad bribe. Like, that actually, in terms of thinking about the sort of biological drives of the person, the wish to procreate, all of these things, like, I don't know, that's a pretty satisfying situation. And obviously lots of things were fucked up about the nuclear family. I think that was a degradation of what family and community could be. And that degradation, I think, was a bribe. I think the nuclear family was sort of a bribe in that way, in a way similar to what the phone is now. And so, but you look at people now and it's like, I mean, people are content to not have kids. And I think that does relate to the distraction and addiction to entertainment, to I think in French it's divertissement. My friend told me recently, like diversion. Entertainment is divertissement. So anyway, it like they're like so suddenly they don't even really like they don't feel this huge drive to have kids. And so it's like, okay, well, you can make way less money then. And so now you need both people to be working, and you can't even buy a house. You just need both people to be working to have an apartment. And it's like, okay, I guess we'll just tolerate this because these are the conditions within which we live. And it's like, you're tolerating that because you're addicted to a phone that is like raping your brain. You're just getting totally fucked up by stuff you don't understand. Like, this goes really deep. This is the whole whole history of power and evil within the world works into the fiber of existence that we live in this moment. So yeah, dude, it is it's not hopeless. I wasn't going to say it's hopeless. Not me. So, but you know, it's rough. It's a hard situation, certainly. I think it's pretty fucked. And I mean, pardon my language, but I know my grandma watches this. But hi, grandma. And but anyway, yeah, it's rough, and it's intergenerational in other ways. Like, I was just kind of commenting on the generations as parents to children, but also like people set up institutions. People set up educational institutions. People enter into them. People wind up on the councils deciding what will be taught in the education systems. And you wind up with this extreme sort of decay. It's a regimentation and indoctrination. It literally is a propaganda machine. That's not, anyway. So people are being, look at it, take that with a grain of salt. Just think about how our education system is like kind of fucked up. Most people would think it's not very good. It does a bad job of educating people, and it also anti-educates us. It's just like, it does not prepare you for life. It does not prepare you for being in the world. And by life, I don't mean like paying your taxes, which it also doesn't prepare you for. It doesn't prepare you for all of the depth and intricacies and also the idiosyncrasies that are bound to come with your singular situation as a new person on the planet. It just, I don't know, man. It's just, we're in a bad situation. And it's like that with colleges too. Like, I'm not just talking about public schools. I'm talking about a lot of private schools. Some schools are great, I'm sure. But even colleges and even Ivy League institutions, they all suffer from like, no, this is not pre-recorded. Sorry. Got distracted. Hang on a minute. So yeah, it's not just going to school as a kid, elementary school, high school. I think colleges are a huge scam at this point, and that's also something people are increasingly becoming aware of. I think people are like kind of at this tipping point where they realize like why are we all going to college? Like, there's no job security. Our culture has no interest in any intellectual activity whatsoever. It's all like a stupid service economy of garbage. And so people go and study, they may study like marine biology or whatever it is, like things that I think all things should be studied, essentially. I think all scientific and philosophical things should be understood. I think there's a whole world of things to understand. And so I think we should have marine biologists, but so many of those people are, once they're ejected from the education system, once they've paid their dues and they get their diploma, the jobs are not there. I know so many people who got degrees and don't work in their field. I am one of those people, and it was kind of my choice. I just didn't want to, but it was actually a good time to get a computer science degree. I think now it sounds like now it's actually obviously kind of worse, but anyway, yeah. And so that brings us all around. I mean, that can be just my huge rant. And then I'll bring it around to the helping people side of things and the how do we get out of this side of things. Yeah, and if you're watching, like, subscribe, feel free to comment, whatever, hit the bell. I'll probably change the name of the stream before the next one, so things will look a little different next time. I'm gonna figure all that out. So, on that note, and that note is very important about education, because that is how cultures and societies evolve, is how you enculturate the people, how you socialize the people, how you mold the people, how you regiment the people. So with that in mind, here we all are. And I've thought a lot about this stuff because I have some friends who are homeschooling as well. Or not that past stuff, but what I'm about to talk about, it's just been on my mind for sort of a year now, talking to friends who homeschool their kids and stuff like that, thinking about how really ought we educate our children in this very particular societal situation that we find ourselves in. And some of the kind of what I'm thinking, and I've encouraged, I don't know, I kind of wonder if there will be like a resurgence in just having like one tutor for your kid who works with them for years, and you don't send them to school because it's just a waste. It just, that time is better spent with other individuals in the society. And anyway, so I guess when I think of what the goal could be for a child, but also for an adult, like, I think this situation really calls for A, an ability to critically think, and B, a total adaptability. I think people should be very capable, and to be capable, you need to know what you're working with. You need to know yourself. You need to know the world. And I think when we think about those things, when we think about critical thinking, I mean, critical thinking is developed through language. We think in language. Language goes really deep in the existential circumstances of our organism. And so it involves reading. It involves learning how to read very well, and how to write very well, how to speak very well, how to listen very well. I think those are tools anyone trying to teach kids things, I think that is highly important in this moment to keep that in mind. And as pertains to adaptability, I think it's very important to develop senses of wonder and interest and practice, like doing some endeavor for an extended period of time and understanding how the growth develops or how things change. Like say drawing, like, or any art form, drawing, playing music, whatever it may be, doing something that you actually practice over time, something that helps you recognize that you knew nothing about this before, and yet you now understand it and can even express yourself through it. You can control it. You can use it as a medium. And that I think goes as well for things like science. I think children should have their sense of wonder about the natural world encouraged. I think they should try to investigate as much of what is around them as possible, and it should be encouraged. You should explore with them. You should explain things to them. And anyway, so I'm using this as a stepping stone, talking about educating children, to now talk about us, because in a sense, we are all extremely stunted as human life forms. I think we're all kind of adult children, like maybe 30 is the new 20 or something, because everyone is a kind of stunted in their, what is it? I set these two books aside for this reason, because I want to, not today, like months ago. I want to read them eventually, because I think it might be relevant to the situation we're in. It's Jean Piaget, who I'm not very familiar with him, but The Construction of Reality in the Child and the Growth of Logical Thinking in the Child, or from Childhood to Adolescence. Because I think those are two things that are really stunted for people. I think the construction of reality, or at least of a larger worldview, which is what your sense of reality turns into as you turn into an adult, I think that's ruined for a lot of people. Not ruined irreversibly, but it is clearly people are, I think it's pretty clear when you look at what people choose to do with their time or what they choose to post on social media. It's like, I'm not trying to judge people based on their social media posts. Rather, but you can take a look at like what brought this person to put this on social media. And you don't always know, certainly, but when it is a trend, when it becomes a lifestyle, you can get a better sense of what might be bringing that person there. And the growth of logical thinking as well. I think most people are really struggling to even think logically. Like that's something that we aren't born with logic, as this book is about, as this pretty lengthy book is about. Like we develop it over time. To the new person in the chat, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, I got this at a thrift store, this joyful little mug, because I sell books, so I go to I don't know, I stop at thrift stores and get books pretty often. Someone in the chat says, since there are fewer children born as of late, each Zoomer can be the tutor for one Gen Alpha, enough to go around. That is true. Yeah, we need to. So this is ultimately, I mean, that conclusion is not directly where I'm going with this, but that is a solution to a question, and the question is where I'm going with this, which is like, how do we actually make cultural change over time? And also, how do we make it that we are healthier and more capable people? Because that adaptability thing, that capability thing that I mentioned, I think that's what we have to strive for. And I think it's something that we can really help each other with. So here I'll just kind of give a little bit of a personal story. And that story is, well, I have a friend, and years ago, she had a book club that she would talk about, and it seemed great. And I was like, maybe I should start a book club. And for deeper background, like I studied computer science in college, and I always had a wide variety of interests, but it was hard to pursue them. And I did fine in college, but I wished I could take other classes. Like, my issue wasn't with the computer science education exactly, which I thought was good, but it was like, my issue is with the structure of the university, where it just wouldn't let you take interesting classes in other colleges without jumping through a million hoops. And it's like, bro, I am very interested in this thing. I'll do all the reading, like, let me in. And that pissed me off over the years. And anyway, so after leaving college, as I've said on the show, I entered into a severe period of depression, but that always ebbs and flows. It's not like you're down for 5 years. It's like you have ups and downs, and during the ups, I'm always trying to study things. I had a lot of interests, and I wanted to cultivate that. I had a lot of admiration for the concept of autodidactism, where you teach yourself things, especially with the internet. It felt like it's like you can just go find university courses, everything, all the content that is covered in the university course, and you have everything but the professor. And now, actually, much more common than, say, 10 years ago, like, you can actually get the professor too if you want, because it's all videotaped. Much of it is videotaped. And anyway, so yeah, so I aspired to be an autodidact. And anyway, so I mentioned my friend's book club, and that inspired me to start a book club. And I found it really nice. The first book we read was this one, Propaganda by Jacques Ellul, which is content relevant to my rant from the start of this stream. And anyway, oh, actually, no, this was the second book we read. We read Medical Nemesis by Ivan Illich, which is also relevant. But anyway, it was just so nice to once a week get together with people who were also reading, and to talk about things, and to try to understand what someone was saying. And one thing I found doing that actually is that you have very little time to even cover the full depth of the book. Every book, I mean, not every book, but most books that are worth reading, or all books that are worth reading, have extreme depth to them. You can really read them. You can read them many times. You can get a lot out of them. And that depth is just multiplied extra dimensionally by having people to talk about it with and to get to see their readings, because everyone, like, 5 people read one book, you have 5 readings of a book. It's like you have 5 books. So yeah, I don't know. So that was great. And that ultimately, I mean, we kept going, and I'm very good friends with a lot of those people still, who some of whom were total strangers at the start of it. And then eventually I got to this point where it was just kind of hard to pick. I don't know. It was just, I guess I found myself feeling like, I mean, it's always worthwhile to pick a book and read it with people. But I was like, there must be something deeper that is more worth all of our energy as these people who are close to each other. And eventually I stumbled onto that concept of the Junto from Ben Franklin, where it's like a club for mutual improvement that is highly intellectual and inquisitive, like trying to solve problems of the day, trying to solve problems of eternity, and, you know, things that are evergreen problems, things people will always need to reckon with and try to understand in their own life, no matter how it's laid out by the culture in the past. So I don't know, I just thought it was very beautiful. And I read about that on the show a little bit, and I got a lot of response from people who were like, that's like what we were made for. That sound like I would do anything to be a part of something like that. Those were a couple things people said. And I think it speaks to this moment that I'm describing, where it's like people are just on the brink. It's like they're desperate for something else. And I said on the show earlier, or last week, that we are at this inflection point where it's like life is being literally turned inside out. Like nothing normal is normal. And you have to like relearn how to live if you actually want to live a human life, instead of a highly propagandized, shallow, controlled life. And of course I could talk just about that concept for a long time. That's what the show is about. If you're just watching this for the first time and you have to go back, or if you like, I encourage watching the other stuff, because these concepts are deep. The situation we're in is hard to understand. It takes time to understand it, and it takes work to understand it, and it certainly takes social work to understand it. And so anyway, thinking about stuff like the reading group, I was always like, I kind of wanted to, before I read about the Junto, I was like, I don't know, can some of us also do a writing group? Can we like hold each other to be like trying to produce content out of this stuff, like essays, and like deepen our understanding of these things? Can we really work together? And that's where the idea of para-academia, like para to the side of, I think adjacent to, I'm pretty sure that's what that prefix means. This concept of para-academia, to do what academia claims it wants on the side, just do it yourself. Because we don't need, I mean, there are professors out there who are, it's like, I imagine their brain and I see like a bird's nest with eggs in it. It's just like, just because someone's a professor, like, don't trust them with their words. So anyway, yeah, but given that we have this internet access, we have access to so much archived material from human history. It's like we can do our own PhD program, and it's not going to be just the regular old what's becoming normal now. I mean, it's been normal for a long time, but so many PhDs are just like, what if I think about this person through what this person said? Like, what if I think about like what, I don't know, or just like, how did Reich and Freud disagree on this subject, or what would they have thought of this subject? And then I mean, it's even worse in STEM sometimes, where it's just like, I don't know, just optimization, or in pure mathematics. And these are things, I believe in some studying of pure mathematics, but it gets like, it you know it's not the most urgent. It's probably not the most urgent thing in the world. In a way, pure mathematics kind of is, because it's immediately applied by physics, and there's like, we're just in an unstable we're in a cold war, like we're in an arms race. So if you don't do that, you're just going to get crushed in the arms race, perhaps, if someone learns something really cool. I mean, cool. I think it's cool, but I don't think it would be cool to use it to wipe out the planet. But I think it's cool to know about what you can do. Anyway. So, yeah. All right. So basically, yeah. So I was thinking about just para academia. It's like, how can we get together and hold ourselves to this obligation that we have to do academic work that the colleges are never even going to want to hear about? And believe me, there's tons of cool professors, there's cool students, but that institution is just over. It is like, I'm not saying don't go to college, because I think it can be beneficial for status in society, basically, which can be helpful. It can give you job opportunities. I don't think you should just totally reject everything. If you have the opportunity to go without, you got to be smart about it. You have to be strategic about it. Like, don't put yourself in tons of debt unless you really know it's going to work out, more or less know that it's going to work out. So anyway, yeah, so that's kind of, we're coming around to this solution here. And I was struggling to name the show for a while, because it's like, I want it to be something I can stand behind forever, where it's like, I want it to be related to just the heart and point of the show. Like, what I want, even what I want people to do. Like, I want it, I don't know, you just think of things like against, I mean, all names are just gay, so it is what it is, but names like against passivity or something, it's like, I don't want people to be passive. I want people to critically think. I want people to live. And I don't know, the Junto just sticks out to me, because it's like, that is something that actually people can practically do in their lives. And it's something I certainly want to study more as a concept. How do we do it well? How do we learn from each other's experiments with it? How do we, I don't know. There's stuff to be thought about. And I guess on the other side, like, we are just, starting from the person, we are all very alone. Everyone of all ages in our society, for the most part, is very alone, lives a lonely life. And that is not just the sort of physical isolation that we might wind up in, but there is a psychological, spiritual alienation that is a consequence of the development of our language and behaviors as well. And that, I think, is much more difficult to cope with, but they're both difficult to cope with. And so the Junto is a solution, where it's like, to have people in your life that you really feel like you can be honestly pursuing enrichment of your life with, like enrichment of increasing your knowledge, increasing your understanding, but also spiritual healing. I think, like I said, most people are pretty sick in our world, and they're struggling, and it's sad, and people are hurt. And I think people become very helpless. There's a learned helplessness about it, where, I mean, when you feel helpless, you don't even try. So, and yet, based on, so many books in the world, we can learn from other people's experiences. Humans have been living on this planet for a very long time, and we have, like, there's an ancient Egyptian document that is it's a dialogue of a man talking to his soul about suicide. It's like, people need to have their minds opened by other people. Like, we have to be helping each other see that there's light in the darkness, and you can actually increase the light. You can push the darkness really far away. You can become stronger, and you can protect yourself, and you can do work that matters. So, yeah, that's what the show is about. I don't know if, yeah. I don't know the etymology of Junto. One dictionary that I looked at did relate it to junta, but I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. I would like to see if there's a letter or something where he says why. But I mean, if the definition was just what I read earlier, where it's a group of people coming together for a common purpose, makes enough sense that they would choose it. But anyway, I appreciate everybody for watching and coming along on this journey, because yeah, I don't know, because we just have to live differently. Like, this is, if there's any political hope, never mind hope for ourselves as individuals, we have to start living differently. We have to take life seriously. We have to, there's a sword, and we should be sharpening both sides of it. One of those sides is fasting from all of this shit that would have you be nothing, would have you just keep wasting your life, wasting your time. And that's stuff like a lot of phone use. It's stuff like a lot of work. Like, if you embark upon this stuff without a grander strategy for what is going to change in your life in the future, you could wind up really stuck forever in a unfortunate situation. And on the other side of the sword, the other thing we have to sharpen is just things like increasing our store of virtue, as it says in the Tao Te Ching. Like, we just have to, we have to atrophy the bad, we have to starve the bad and feed the good. We just have to, like, every day. That is the goal every day, and we have to do it together. We have to hold each other to the truth, to steadfastness. We have to inspire each other to do good work on the planet. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like, there's so much life out there, and I know it feels really depressing or closed off at times, and this is for people of all generations, elderly people, high school students. So many people can feel like there's nothing to do, and they just settle for the routine. They settle for going to the job or watching TV or doing this or that. But there's infinite richness that you can start to access and develop within your mind and with your life and in your social life. And that is something that I really don't think we should ever lose sight of. And I think we have an obligation to help each other with things like that. I think we have an obligation to show people, to widen the context, open the window, like, show people that there's good stuff out there that's worth doing. That's another thing I'm trying to do on the show when I read from these books and everything. It's like, I'm trying to share something that I liked in that book, that meant something to me in that book, that opened my eyes. Yeah. And it's also, there's something kind of, I don't know, I guess this is sort of tangential, but, well, there's a couple little footnotes, I guess, to that, where it's like, some people, I think, don't have people in person to do this sort of a thing with, like, to get together and try to help each other. And if that is your situation, I would just say, like, I really don't think people should despair about that. I think if you are able to read and hone this stuff on your own and do work on your own, people are going to find you, and you're going to find people. Like, we just come together. But if you choose, and I'm not saying choose because you're rationally choosing it. I think it's a decision that it almost feels made for us by the circumstances of our existence. But if you choose to just languish or to say no to all of that, you'll wind up in a sad and dangerous situation. And I think it's hard, but to affirm the proper side of that, I think is the way to go. Another footnote is, like, well, this is less a footnote. This is kind of the essence of the whole thing. Well, sorry, I'm just thinking think of what order to do this in, because one is negative and one is positive. But I guess I'll get the negative one out of the way, which is also, some people are just fucking crazy, and some people, don't let them into your junto. You have to, I don't want to be negative. However, it's like, dude, just be careful who you are around. And I don't even mean for danger's sake, but just for like, some people are not with it, and some people are never going to be with it if they stick to their current ways. And it's like, there's a huge desire for people to just latch on to anything that seems like it might be helpful, or that it like maybe resonates with them in some abstract way. I mean, this reminds me, now the way I'm talking reminds me of Ted Kaczynski talking about leftist psychology in industrial society and its future, where he's just like, it's just like, bro, don't let them in. Like they're addicted to failure is kind of his stance. And but beyond that, also some people are kind of dangerous, and in subtle ways that you might not recognize at first. Anyway, so on the positive side though, in this kind of a community, I think it's also very important, like when we are sharpening that side of the sword where we're saying we don't want this sort of evil or negativity or just harm coming from us in our lives, like we want to starve that out. When you're in these social settings talking about these big ideas, like I think we should all be very open to each other's ideas. I don't think we should be highly agreeable with them. I don't think you should just agree with someone because they're saying something, but I don't think we should certainly don't be mean-spirited or put people down, because there's just so much, like this is such a weird and precarious situation that we're in. And I think we have an obligation to, when we find those people that we want to work with, that we want to live with forever, like live within our lives, not live in the same home necessarily, but actually you want to know them if you come to be 60 years old. And like we need to be helping each other out. We need to be not straw manning each other's arguments. We need to be steel manning them, armoring them up, making it even more, I don't know, giving people the benefit of the doubt to some extent. And I don't think that's something, I think that can be taken the wrong way. I think we can give people way too much benefit of the doubt. I think I spent a lot of my life giving strangers too much benefit of the doubt and assuming that they have my intentions or good intentions. Not to say all my intentions were good or anything like that, but I would really empathize with other people. So when other people were doing things, I'd be kind of like, well, they're probably doing that for the reason that I would do it. And some people don't need the benefit of the doubt in every situation. But in a situation like an intellectual club where you're trying to help each other just survive on the planet and thrive on the planet, and hopefully create also like healthy relationships and healthy families and all of this, like grow in contrast to how families have been developing and have been increasing neuroticism in people and hurting people and cycles of abuse and all that. Like we're breaking all of that. So yeah, I don't know. I guess my point is just like we just have to be kind to each other, of course. Like, and footnote to that, no sex in the junto. You'll just fuck it up. There's no just don't do it. And maybe there's exceptions for that for committed relationships or something, but it's like, imagine a quick way to destroy destroy such a thing, and that's it. So yeah, I had kind of mixed feelings about naming the show after a word when no one knows what it is, but it's like, I'm not trying to get, I'm not like trying to be Mr. Beast here. I'm just trying to reach people who actually want to make change in their lives and help other people and build communities and be intellectuals, and ultimately try to create new culture within our world. So it's like, not everyone needs to know what it means. I think the content will speak for itself, and it will go off into the world in its various forms, and people will show up at the Junto. So, all right, yeah, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I think I'm gonna give myself a haircut tonight. I knew I had to give myself a haircut, and I cut my bangs the other day. It actually looked really good in the ICE protester stream, and the past 2 days it's been totally screwed up. So maybe it'll be even worse on Thursday. So tune in, find out, like the video, subscribe, notification bell, and I'll be back Thursday or Friday. I've been doing all these at 10. Maybe I can get it together and do it at 9, but who knows? So yeah, but this year we're not being ironic, we're not being flippant, we're not being shallow. We're trying to get deep into this stuff. We are trying to acquire new skills, share skills with other people. We're playing music with people, we're reading books with people, we're reading old books. It's like there's no time for people who are going to waste their lives. There does need to be a filter, and I don't mean you should resent those people. I think we should love everybody, but there is, in your own life, don't waste all your energy trying to help people who are sucking all your energy away and turning it into attention for the attention economy. So anyway, all right. I was asked, is Socratic irony okay? I would say so, because there's been kind of a loss of Socratic irony in the impoverishment of our language. So by going back, by reading old books, we can rejuvenate that. Anyway, not to linger on here. All right. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you on Thursday. Oh, I moved the mouse. Hang on. See you on Thursday.